Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified Doctor of Naturopathy, Dr. Stephen Cabral, shares with you exactly how you can reverse aging, take back your health, and live a life full of energy and passion, with new 20-minute episodes every single day to keep you healthy and engaged. Now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
All right, everybody, we are back with another Friday review. That means another great week in the books. Excited to give you a recap from last week's event. I'll certainly do another one next week too. But what I wanted to do today was really go over a lot of feedback I've gotten over the last couple of weeks of different product reviews people have wanted, research people were looking for, and even a way to find out how certain medications may interact with certain supplements. So we're going to deep dive on this today. Always look forward to the Friday review shows. I get to talk a little bit about a lot of different things, which many of these things are in my wheelhouse for what I enjoy anyway in everyday life and a lot of my interests. Like today, we're going to be talking about a certain type of olive oil and how it's linked to better brain function. I'm a huge advocate of olive oil. My family and I go through about one bottle a week, and I'm always on Instagram giving you like, hey, here's the latest one. And I'm sure that over the next couple of weeks, I'll bring you some of the latest and greatest bottles. Some are just fine, some just okay. You know, you don't typically find a bad olive oil, but some are absolutely phenomenal, and those are the ones that I love to share. All right, let's dive into today's show. So this week is really dedicated to my overall health. So one of the things I like to share with people is that you need to structure your schedule. You need to structure your life in a way that you can sprint and you can really put in the hard work when you need to, but then there has to be a period of recovery, because if not, you are going to burn out. So once a year, we do a live event. We've just started this basically a year ago, but we had done one 2 years previous to that. And then, of course, we were shut off from doing those due to the whole pandemic. But we're back, and we're excited to be back. Each year, the event is literally growing and doubling in size, and I'm sure no doubt next year will be the same as well. It's called the Reimagining Health Summit. You can find out what it was all about at thereimagininghealthsummit.com. Certainly, we will be back next year. I don't know if it'll be the same location, but I always look forward to putting on live events, and the reason is, in a digitized world, in a virtual world where we live over Zoom and social media, etc., it is amazing to get together. So my team and I get together that time of the year. We do meetings a couple days in advance. We have set up the day before, and then we basically have 2.5 days of meeting and greeting hundreds of people from around the world. We have our team members there. As I said before, we get to share lunches together, dinners together. It's absolutely fantastic. This year we had 16 different talks, I believe, over 14 different speakers. We had 20 different exhibitors. I mean, absolutely incredible. People came from all over the world, and it was so great to talk with them, take photos, all sorts of fun things there. So this week for me is really dedicated to talking less, doing a little bit less, doing more recovery. So for me, it's sauna, it's PMF mats, it's light workouts, it's more walking, it's more rest, it's more sleep, it's more downtime, and resting my voice to a degree. Because for those 3 to 4 days, I'm essentially on for 14 hours a day. That's not an exaggeration. And I'm talking for probably 10 of those hours. So it does a lot on your vocal cords, even if I'm used to talking a lot during the day. I'm not used to talking that much, that's for sure. So that's probably double the amount of talking that I typically do on a daily basis. So for now, it's a week of recovery. Always enjoy these weeks too, although I am someone who doesn't like to sit still too much. But at the same time, you need to know when your body needs to recover. So I build that in there. And I say this to you because I hope that if you have any large-based work events or family-based events or whatever it is, that you can take just, even if it's just a few days, in order to be able to recuperate. Remember, our body is an organism. It is a living thing. It needs time to rest and recuperate after pushing it to its limits. All right, let's talk about what is going on over at EquiLife this week. Just because if you weren't at the event last week, you missed the debut. A brand new product by EquiLife. Very few new products over 2024. And the reason I've always shared with you is if we can't do it better, we are not going to put out a product at all. Like, that's the bottom line. We'll just recommend other resources. If you go to stephencabral.com/resources, there's over 100 companies there. I am one of those people that have always believed in trying to promote other people doing great work. Like, that's always how I've been. And I've just always believed that you don't need to try to keep the entire pie for yourself. You know, you just need to create a bigger pie and have more people enjoy. That's really what it's all about, or multiple pies. And so one thing I wanted to share is that we were looking for a coffee company that had no compromise and that we could actually develop a coffee that was going to be higher in antioxidants for longevity-based purposes and overall liver health. And so we looked at the specific science, we looked at the polyphenol counts, we looked at how coffee needs to be grown, and we went through all the processes. So we actually partnered with Purity Coffee, that many of you know, to create our own EquiLife coffee. And we have two versions. We have a Revive version, which is the caffeinated medium roast. And then we also have a medium in the decaffeinated. And one of the reasons is we found this really nice balance of flavor and powerful antioxidants. Like, I can't stress that enough. The Purity owns their own farms. So we were able to actually harvest specific beans grown in a specific way in a specific soil that got it a specific amount of sunlight on a daily basis. And that is how you develop these super beans. I don't know a better way to describe them, that can actually be tested for purity. They tested for mold. There's no glyphosate. They're tested for glyphosate. There's no sprays. They do a water process for decaf. And so you get to enjoy all the benefits of boosting brain-derived neurotropic factor, so BDNF for your brain and for your liver and for your body. That was exactly how they were specifically developed. And the truth is that whenever I come up with a new product, it's not always possible, but I try to give it away for free. And I know sounds crazy, and it is. Coffee is, which I didn't know, is very expensive to actually produce a really good quality coffee. It's actually very expensive, and there's something they call very low margins. So you don't make a lot of money on coffee. You just don't. And you know that every dollar we make goes right back into EquiLife. Nobody takes it out of the company, goes right back in for research and development and creating things like the iboan-based app. But with the coffee, what we wanted to do was produce something that somebody drinks on a typical daily basis, or they use for coffee enemas, or they use for a lot of different things. But we wanted to make sure that this was a clean coffee that was powerful in terms of polyphenols and antioxidants, and it has even more antioxidants than wild blueberries. I mean, it's amazing. Don't start eating your wild blueberries, but you'll have to check out the coffee. And the coffee's free, so free on all qualifying orders this week while supplies last. We have many thousands of bags, but we put aside 500 for this giveaway. So try a bag on us, either decaf or regular caffeinated, and they're both high in antioxidants, polyphenols, great for the liver, and you can find those right now at stevencabral.com/shop. Don't miss that. Free bag with all qualifying orders, plus 20% off all additional bags all this week. All right, podcast recap for the week, in case you missed any of it. The RZA framework for using for arguments if you're ever in I shouldn't say an argument, the best way to make sure you don't have an argument. So to have a really friendly debate or dialogue with another individual, I think this is more important than ever, whether it's politics or religion or health or whatever it might be. It is so nice to hear someone else's point of view, but for the most part, we don't like to do that always. We like to win the argument, right? But what if the other side has valuable points? Why can't we listen to those? This is a really nice thing to use with family, with friends, and other happenings in life as well. So check that out. That was Monday's show. That was 2810. I'll just put them all here today. So you can go to stevencabral.com/podcasts. You'll find today's show. But for today's show specifically, depending on when you're listening to this, go to stevencabral.com/2814. All right, stevencabral.com/2814. On Tuesday's show, we went over what happens when you drink a soda. So this is pretty remarkable because it could be an energy drink, could be a soda, etc. Anything that's canned for the most part, you'll see what I'm talking about on that show, what happens inside of your body, all the different deficiencies it can create. And then Wednesday's show was what happens when you combine intermittent fasting with caloric restriction on balancing blood sugar. No study had ever really been done. There's intermittent fasting versus caloric restriction, or different types of intermittent fasting, but very few have combined the two. And I want to show you exactly what happened. All right, and then yesterday's show was how many push-ups should you be able to do? That was a fun show. It is legitimately male, female, and by age. I think it's a great gauge. You want to check it out, see where you stack up. All right, let's go product reviews of the week. Usually I'm always holding the product review. Today I can't. Hopefully by the magic of video editing, we're able to put up the product right over my shoulder right here. It's called the AquaTru Water Filter. And this is a company that has made great products for decades now. They've been in this from the beginning in terms of natural health. And they have a product called the AquaTru, and I'll link it up at stephencabral.com/2814. And it is a countertop 4-part filter system that includes reverse osmosis. And one of the nice things that I liked about this is that it doesn't waste as much water as your typical reverse osmosis. So usually it takes an enormous amount of water to purify that, basically. Well, here's how it works. So when you put in water into a tank and you want to use reverse osmosis, it moves through carbon filters, it moves through reverse osmosis filters, pre and post. And what's left is actually a lot of water that contains all the contaminants. Well, what AquaTru has done is they get now 3/4 of a gallon of purified water for every gallon, which is basically best in industry. And then it's just tap water. And so you can dump out that tap water, or if you typically water your plants with it or whatever you might do, you can use it for that as well. So nothing goes to waste. So this is a great product for that reason in terms of best use of water, but also you're guaranteeing yourself the cleanest water that you can get. So I used the Berkey water filter forever. When I say forever, I mean like a decade, more than a decade. And I've always liked the Berkey filter. And it's not that I don't recommend them. They're still great, and I will always have one. Here's why I will always have one. I will always have one because all reverse osmosis and water treatment, whether it's a water treatment plant or whether it's a reverse osmosis in your house, is that you need electricity. And what if electricity ever goes out? I think it's still important to have a type of gravity-fed water filter. And so I'll always have my Berkey, no doubt about it. I keep it packaged away. It's good to go. If I ever need it, all I do is put it right back on my counter, pour in the tap water, and I've got filtered water then again. But it does not get it as clean with those carbon filters as a 4-part reverse osmosis that has carbon filters plus a reverse osmosis filter. So you're going to get many more of the heavy metals and particles as well as fluoride, and you can just going to have better, cleaner water. That's basically it. The water tastes delicious. It's fantastic. And the only downside is it strips a lot of the minerals out. So for me, using it with my smoothie or different things like that, I don't need to add the minerals back. But for regular everyday drinking water, all we do is I have the smaller AquaTru, pour it into a liter mason jar. I put the water in there, stir in the 8 to 12 trace mineral drops, and I can link those up for you today. And I keep always 1 or 2 liters in the fridge for my family. Or you can keep it right on your countertop, because sometimes I like room temp and my daughter likes cold. And so then you always have one in the AquaTru and you've got extras there. And it only takes 9 minutes in order for this to completely filter. Anybody that's ever used a water filter, 9 minutes is really fast to go from unfiltered water to filtered water. So I just wanted to share that with you. I will link up the AquaTru plus the trace mineral drops. Lots of companies do them, but I'll link up the ones that we use. And that's it. I mean, it's really that simple. I made the switch. Very happy that I did. I've been using it now for a few weeks. I always like to try things for at least a few weeks. And then, of course, I like to be able to get you a discount as well. So with AquaTru, we've reached out. We went back and forth a bunch of times. With the link that we give you at 2814, you will get $100 off your AquaTru filter. All right. Let's check out next the quick tip book review of the week. It's actually going to be a research tip of the week. I've had a lot of integrative health practitioners reach out. A lot of people reach out. Can you give us some type of website that will help us discern what supplements should not be taken with certain medications? And I like to let natural health practitioners know right up front that there's no way that you should be giving medical-based advice. Okay, you don't want to do that. But if you want to do a little bit of research, you're welcome to. The problem is that there are thousands, tens of thousands of pharmaceuticals and also thousands of nutritional supplements. For you to be able to keep up with everything at all times, a new drug being created essentially every day, that's going to be pretty challenging. But I can at least give you a place to start, okay? And it makes it really easy. I'm actually going to link up 5 different websites for you, and you can choose the one that you find to be the easiest. But how they work is you type in the medication, and then you type in the herb or the nutritional supplement, and it will show you if there's any contraindications. Some of them will just tell you drug contraindications like blood thinner, et cetera, et cetera. So, okay, if this is a blood thinner, then I wouldn't use what? I wouldn't use cayenne. I wouldn't use omega-3s. I wouldn't use certain products that thin out the blood, right? So like that's how you could look at it. All right, so I'm going to link those up again at stevencabral.com/2814. It's going to be reference.medscape.com, drugs.com, but the specific web link that goes directly to the interactions. I'm going to go over to John Hopkins Healthcare. stawellsolutions.com/library/drug interaction. So like I'll give you the whole URL spelled out, and then aafp.org as well. All right, hopefully that's helpful. Again, if you're a natural health practitioner, can't give medical advice. Be careful on what you're saying. But if you absolutely want to look at the medication someone's on, you can at least be assured, okay, yeah, I'm not going to give these particular products because I'm more worried about the interactions. There's not a lot, but it's good to be knowledgeable about it. And certainly I think knowledge is power. And so let's give you that. All right, research number 1 today. Let me pull up my research articles for the week. I read everything. People ask me, like, where do the research articles come from? Sometimes they come from PubMed, sometimes Google Scholar, sometimes when I'm looking at new, because I have an artificial intelligence, I don't even know the plugin basically, that actually tells me research that isn't even yet published. It's actually in the research stages. And so that's really interesting. So all over. And then I read journals and all sorts of great stuff, and I just pull those out for you. So I try to give you the ones that I think are going to have the most benefit. This one right here was a 25-year follow-up study, and I'm going to give you where it was from, of the Whitehall 2 cohort study in PLOS Med. So we're talking about the specific journal. This is just about a year or so ago. And let's see, it's Sabia S Association of Sleep Duration on ages 50 and 60, 70 years old. And it's basically titled How Less Sleep is Linked to Higher disease risk. So let me give you the exact quote here. Not getting enough sleep doesn't just make you tired the next day, it can actually make you more susceptible to disease. Through burning the midnight oil every now and then, although burning the midnight oil every now and then won't hurt, 50-year-olds consistently sleeping 5 hours less every night are 20% more likely to have already been diagnosed with a chronic disease compared to those sleeping 7 hours a night. Even worse, those consistently shortchanging their shut-eye are 40% more inclined to be diagnosed with 2 or more chronic diseases over the next 25 years. That's why it's critical to focus on good sleep habits, especially as you age. Okay, so why I wanted to share that is that it doesn't, even if you're in bed for 7 hours, you need to be asleep for those hours. So if you're in bed for 7 hours, but you're awake from 2 to 4 a.m., well, you're getting 5 hours of sleep. And now you're a part of this, on this category of people that may be at more risk. I also see colleagues that I know, not necessarily in the health industry, but they run tech companies, et cetera, and they pride themselves on getting 5 hours of sleep a night. And just because you're healthy in your 30s and 40s or early 50s on 5 hours of sleep a night, just know that this research applies to you as well. You're far more likely to end up with 1, 2, or more chronic diseases as you age, the less sleep that you get. So let's dial in that sleep. And I have tons of free podcasts on sleep, and you can find those at stevencabral.com/podcast. Just scroll through the images at the top. You will find all the ones on sleep in its own category. All right, now second study, which is one of my favorites because I use so much olive oil. It is, let's see, this one is Kadumi, and that is who ran the study. Okay, it's called Extra Virgin Olive Oil Enhances the Blood-Brain Barrier Function in Mild Cognitive Impairment, a randomized control study in Nutrients Journal. All right, so here we go. Consuming just 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil every day can improve mental performance, particularly for those with a mild cognitive impairment, MCI. Recent evidence published in the Journal of Nutrients shows that downing a daily ounce of extra virgin olive oil enhances brain connectivity and reduces blood-brain barrier permeability, a key facet in Alzheimer's disease. And after 6 months of consistent EVO, which is extra virgin olive oil intake, this can translate into improved dementia rating and behavioral scores for mild cognitive impairment. But remember that not all olive oils are created equal. You want to look for the extra virgin olive oil. You want to look for the dark bottle, the first pressed, the cold pressed, the early harvest. All of those are what you look for in a great olive oil. I've used so many amazing olive oils over the year. I'm going to keep updating. I'll probably do like a category just on olive oils, and I'll put those at stevencabral.com/resources. But the latest one that I've been using is a really nice one. It's from Greece. Let's see. Kalamata, Greece, I believe. And I'm going to get you the name. I'll try to link it up on this show too. But there's so many great ones that I've used over the years. Desert Miracle's another one that's a little less expensive, which is nice. So a lot of great ones out there. I'll link those up. That is it for today's show. I appreciate you, as always, for tuning in each and every week. And tomorrow, I'll be back starting our Cabral House Calls, where we answer our community's questions each and every weekend. Take care, everybody. Before you go, I wanted to share a personal story with you. The real reason I began to get well finally is because I figured out what was wrong with me. And that might seem pretty obvious, but I went from doctor to doctor for over 2 years before discovering at-home functional medicine lab testing. These are the labs that enabled me to finally figure out what was wrong with my hormones, blood sugar, electrolytes, and gut health. And once I knew what was wrong, I could then follow a proven plan in order to rebalance my body from the inside out. This is why I believe so strongly in functional medicine lab testing and why I've made it my mission to share these labs with the world. Now at EquiLife, you can order an at-home lab test or lab bundle for you and your family and be able to complete it within the week. Plus, the EquiLife difference is that you're not left to try to read and figure out these labs on your own. We explain what your lab numbers mean, what they mean in the much bigger picture, and then how to go about rebalancing your body in order to heal. To see our full selection of lab tests, or to set up a free lab selection call to find out what labs may be best for you, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. And do remember, we ship these all over the world. To find out more and to set up your free lab selection call, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. That's EQUI.LIFE/labs.